r/AskReddit. There's a quote of Philip K. Dick that says, "There exists, for everyone, a sentence, a series of words, that has the power to destroy you." Which sentence is it for you? What if every relationship you've ever been in is somebody slowly figuring out they didn't like you as much as they hoped they would? James Acaster ironically said during his stand-up routine, which otherwise was hilarious. You ever feel like to know you more is to love you less? Hollyhock. They didn't like you as much as they hoped they would. We used to share our souls, it seemed. When all our days were new. And every hope and dream I dreamed was dreamed for me and you. I thought, perhaps, I'd thought it out. But every now and then, there wanders back a creeping doubt. To wait a while again. Perhaps I'm not the one for here. For us. For you. For me. I would have loved to love you, dear. Perhaps it's not to be. Usually these are meant to be fun, but old Sprague, you've spragued me down. Roses are red. Violets are blue. At first I thought it was me. But it's definitely you. Roses are red. Violets are dead. Only memories remain. Where once was our bed. I used to be so proud of you. You used to be so beautiful. My mum. LOL, my mum always says you used to be such a good-looking kid, what happened? And I say, your genes kicked in, then we have a good laugh. Ha! I love it. My dad likes to tease me like that also. Anytime he introduces me to someone new and they say you look so much like your dad or similar, I say that's the meanest thing anyone has ever said to me. He gets a laugh, but the new person usually takes a few seconds to realize I'm joking. That's brutal. Ah man, I got that in 7th grade when I changed schools and got bullied to shit for being the new kid and fell into depression. Thanks, Mom. No one wants you here. Anyone can say it. And no matter how much progress I've made, it always rings true. What does it really matter? If they're that rude with you, you shouldn't even want to be with them. Nobody who is worth being around ever said something like that. Tell that to people who have dead-end 9-to-5 jobs with co-workers who say that. I think it's the fact that most people keep those thoughts in their head. But up will think that they are so unwanted that someone actually spoke up. I had somebody say something similar to me my senior year of high school. I went to sit down at lunch and this girl said, "Stephen L., why do you sit with us? Nobody here likes you." I ate lunch with the student teacher of my math class for the rest of the year. We were only your friend because you wouldn't take the hint. Edit, that's a lot of upvotes. I'd also like to add that I don't think my friends actually don't like me, I'm just a very paranoid person and overthink everything. This one hurt the most. I experienced that when I was in college. I have a few friends in college. I really thought we got along just fine, but then one day my friend sat me down and told me the things I said or did that annoyed them so much. At the end of that conversation, she told me that they kinda don't want to hang out with me anymore. While it's good to be aware of my traits or things I say that have hurt or annoyed people so I could be a better person, hearing it from a person whom I cared about wrecked me. I've been friends with them for 3 years at that time and had grown attached to them. It really stung when she said they prefer not to hang out even if I offered to change. That was 12 years ago, but whenever I remember that moment, I can still feel a little bit hurt. Edit, thank you all for your kind words and the internet hugs. As an added context, here was my reply to another comment asking what were those traits I was talking about. I'm in a better place now. I have a lovely family and I've gained a few wonderful friends along the way. I'd like to think that I am a better person than I was more than a decade ago. I had a similar experience a few years back with a longtime friend. Me, I thought we were close friends. Him, oh, no, no, no. I've got much closer friends than you. Damn, I really felt that one. For me it's because you buy us food. Edit, thanks for taking my biggest fear and turning it into a joke about cats. Real cool and original of you all. Because you have a car LMAO, I'm the free lifts bitch. You have been accused of insert some impropriety with a minor. I'm a teacher. Just an accusation alone would almost certainly end my career. I literally have nightmares about that shit. Edit, holy shit, I went to bed and woke up to 116 replies. Time to start reading. Edit 2, apparently y'all just want me to have more nightmares, and I also had to go watch The Hunt. Edit 3, since no one has mentioned it yet, if you want another movie on this subject with outstanding acting, check out Olina with William H. Macy. I got so mad the first time I saw it, I stormed out near the end. Couldn't handle it. I had to talk a, now former, in large part because of this, friend out of accusing a teacher who had it out for her. He didn't, she was just an awful student, of fooling around with her just to get back at him. She couldn't comprehend that he wouldn't just get suspended or fired, but his fucking life would basically be over. After exhausting all other options, I threatened that I'd make copies of the chat log where she was talking about making up the accusation and send them to school administrators if she went through with it. Good on you, hopefully she learns something from it. Sadly, I don't think people like that learn. She didn't not do it because she learned it was bad, she only didn't do it because she was going to be found out. The next time she has a chance to do this where no one can prove that she's lying, she's gonna do it. I agree to a point, but also teenagers can be incredibly dumb in a way that does not always reflect the way they'll turn out as adults. Hopefully she's still learning and will learn from this. The difference between 18 and 21-year-olds can be huge. Same for 21 and 25. Nope. Don't believe even 1 second she did. The only way for people like her to understand things is to be hit hard by something. Either figuratively or literally. Right after this episode, she must certainly have thought that her friend was a dick and that she wasn't the one in the wrong. I dated this kind of girl. We broke up and she called the cops on me and accused me of harassment after I left her a VM a month after the breakup, asking if she'd be at the bar I was planning to attend for my birthday because she often was, and if so, I wanted to avoid drama and make sure we were cool. She told them all sorts of lies and it took 2 years of my life, mandatory counseling and drug testing, multiple court dates. I got the impression she did it to teach me a lesson, although she was the one who broke up with me. As a young adult who spends a lot of time with children one way or the other, my friends have made stupid running jokes that I'm a pedo and that's why I hang around kids. It's all stupid fun and games and teasing until I got to a job interview and found that we had a mutual friend who had talked about me to the guy and how I was a pedophile. That shit did not fly once he figured out I was friends with that guy, and I was the one his friend had mentioned. In that crashing moment of pure terror, I realized that these in-jokes broke outside the confines of our group and began to spread. That shit was not cool. I've since had nearly no new tutoring or childcare gigs since Mr. Fucko, the hiring manager, felt it was his moral imperative to contact my clients to mention my reputation. These things are life-crushing. If even one person believes it as reality, it sticks. It's scary. Your friend is a fucking moron. Don't blame the hiring manager. Your friend is going around just blabbing you're a pedo to people whom he either knew was a hiring manager in your field or didn't know well, both fucking stupid. Honestly, that manager's kind of a moron too for just believing his friend. But mostly the friend. Who would say that to a third party when it's an inside joke? That's actually aggressively defamatory. And actionable, it's called slander. And as hard as slander and libel cases are to prove, if this manager then contacted other people, that means there's a record of it. I would recommend to consider getting a lawyer, because that's tangible financial and reputational harm. My best friend, do you have a best friend? I thought I did, sad face, similar thing happened to me. Hanging out with group of my best friends of a few years in high school, getting ready to go to the movies at one of their houses. They get in one of our friends' cars and ask if I'm going to be able to get a ride home. Aren't we going to X? They all awkwardly look at each other. Me, nope, I don't need a ride. I'll walk home. That moment it all clicked that I was never their friend all those years and that they didn't want me around. It was all just politeness to them. I considered one if the guy's my second family. I've stayed over at his place many times and his parents love having me around. It destroyed me back then. I almost dropped out because of it. My family at home wasn't great, and I had already dealt with losing all of my friends from elementary to middle school. It was all happening again. I was never actually wanted. I wasn't an outcast either. I always had girls wanting to be with me and was known as a pretty funny and good guy to be around. I think that's another reason why it hurt so much. I didn't have peers and friends, it didn't make sense. I gave up on friends. I decided to live for myself. I enjoyed messing around with girls and doing my own thing. Fuck everyone else. The only thing that got me back on track and trusting people was my Marine recruiter helping me out of my failing grades and my now wife. I'm still fucked up by it though. I have no guy friends. 0. People invite me out and like hanging with me, but I just don't want it happening a third time. I have plenty of women friends, but nobody I can just chill with without a worry of it being more than platonic. I can empathize. I found out last year that 4 out of 5 of my closest friends had a private group chat dedicated to how much they didn't like me anymore. I think I need therapy to get over it. Worse than any breakup. How classy and mature of them. Honestly, my initial reaction was people do this when they're older than 14. Fuck man, Jesus that sucks. I've been through the losing all your friends part, but just once having that happen twice would be awful. I'm so sorry. I think you need to go to therapy and really get deep into this, because you have to know that in the end, it wasn't your fault. It might not have even been their fault in particular either, could have just been a bad match group-wise, though obviously the way they handled it is shitty as fuck. After you've spent some time talking about it with a professional, go out and make some friends, dude. Not all men are like those people, not even close. You'll find friends. You owe it to yourself to try emo. Best friends aren't always reciprocal nor lifelong, and that's fine as long as you realize it. The guy I consider my best friend probably wouldn't consider me his, and I'm still good friends with my childhood best friend, but we've seen each other so rarely since we were 10 that I doubt either of us thinks we're still best friends. I think some people worry about the whole concept of best friend, too much. Nobody actually likes you, we all just pretend to, but you're actually super annoying. I legit told my friends, how the fuck do you put up with me, I don't even like me. They didn't like that, and later when one of them came over and we discussed the most annoying parts of our common friends, I asked what he thinks is my biggest flaw or most annoying thing I do, and he told me that I keep dragging myself down. I have good friends. Not many, but good ones. I'm glad you have friends like that. Everyone deserves friends like that. This made me tear up a little. Low self-esteem and seeing your own value can be so hard to deal with. You have some true friends there. Been there, and boy, it did wreck me harder than anything had in years. It also helped me grow up afterward and stop wasting time with judgmental cowards. If you have a problem with me, just organize a casual meeting to talk it out, don't bitch about me endlessly behind my back, god damn it. Life is now so much better away from that toxic group. I don't love you anymore. Might not be helpful, but this was said to me, totally out of the blue in my eyes, and it was the immediate end. My friends tried to convince me to get a second chance, etc. We were together about 6 years, and I just had one thought in mind which I will share with you now. I deserve to be loved. If someone doesn't want to be with you, you move on. She hadn't cheated or been cruel or anything, but if she doesn't love me, neither of us should be in the relationship, and it's time to move on without hate/unhappiness. I had that experience on Christmas 2017. Not completely out of the blue, but nothing prepared me for hearing those words. Although they were more "I'm not in love anymore." This came after 13 years. Over a third of my life. I wanted to beg and fight for a second chance. Do whatever it took. Instead, I quickly understood that you don't change feelings. If that was how she felt, that was it. It broke my heart to pieces to tell her that, you know what, I felt the same. I didn't. Not even a little bit. It gets better with time, sure. Still hurts like a sumbitch on some days. But she's happy now. I'm not sure she was happy for the last year or two of our relationship, seeing how happy she is now. As for me, I'll be happy someday. For now I just take whatever scraps of joy fall my way on a daily basis. Geez man. This hit home with me. Hope you're okay. TCH. Like I'm gonna tell you my weakness. See, this is genius, because that is the sentence that would destroy you, but everybody will just think you are being defensive. Dude, you just gave the game away, he's screwed now. Unexpected item in the bagging area. Remove this item before continuing. Picks it up. Place your item in the bagging area. You make me happy, but being with you is making me miserable. Mental illness is insidious. If you think you might suffer from something that's negatively affecting your friendships or relationships, please talk with a therapist or a psychiatrist before it's too late. Sometimes, even after getting treatment, the damage is already done. Trust is earned, but with a lot of people it can only be earned once. My girlfriend suffers from mental issues. Sometimes, that exact sentence is what goes through my brain. I love her more than anything, but it's hard sometimes. Had an ex-GF I ended it with. I wanted it to work out so bad, but when she went off her antidepressants, she refused to try to find a new psychiatrist to prescribe more. She went from giggly and sarcastic to this person who wakes up for 5 hours a day to send me one text, who punched holes in walls, who refused to ever visit me because it was too hard, so I'd visit her. But that just involved her yelling at her dad in front of me. I'd take her to the fair and she'd tell me straight up she wanted to be home alone. What could I do? She'd be happier without me. I think she is. And now I have a wonderful boyfriend. If he's ever dealing with negative thoughts, he tells me right off the bat and we work it out as a team. Stop talking. That hurts deeply because I love talking. Same, sometimes people will say that I'm too quiet. It's not that I'm quiet or shy, it's just that I'm afraid to be snubbed or ignored. I felt ignored as a child whenever I had a problem and I wanted someone to care, so it's just tough to really express myself verbally. Nowadays, if I get to know people, hang out with them a bit, I loosen up better, mostly because I've had a lot of practice, but I still get the quiet guy comments sometimes. Oh well. Someone said that to me at a wedding once and I've never forgotten it. I didn't even know them. You look like you're going to spend your life having one epiphany after another, always thinking you've finally figured out what's holding you back, and how you can finally be productive and creative and turn your life around. But nothing will ever change. That cycle of mediocrity isn't due to some obstacle. It's who you are. The thing standing in the way of your dreams is that the person having them is you. In Zen Buddhism, this is literally one of the ways to learn to see yourself. Here's a quote from Cherie Huber. If the problems you have been trying to solve your whole life could have been solved by you, the way you are, and the way you tried to solve them, they would have been solved by now. Stop trying to solve them and learn to accept them. They aren't problems but just your life and the way it is. Once you see them differently, as part of you, then you can change who you are. Your mother has passed. I was raised by a single mother for most of my life before she remarried, but even then it's always been me and her against the world. Most of who I am, is because of her. I dread the day that she passes on to the next world. I know for a fact, that sentence will destroy me. Not forever, but it will destroy a part of who I am. Along same lines, but it wasn't even a sentence. My father passed away suddenly and my wife took the phone call. The look she gave me when she had to tell me did more damage than the words that followed. Single most heartbreaking moment of my life. I'm so sorry for your loss. I went through the same thing just 2 weeks ago. My father passed away in terrible circumstances and I learned it through the phone by my sister. I'm not sure that wound will ever heal. I feel like I've lost a part of myself. I hope time will ease the pain, for both of us. This sort of shit honestly keeps me up at night. I don't know if I'd still be me after losing my mom. I'm definitely not the same person. My mom died in January, suddenly and unexpectedly. She took a nap on the couch, and I called after work and asked to talk to her and my dad couldn't wake her up. I heard him say her name louder and louder until I hung up. I drove to the house. The ambulance was there. The paramedics walked outside and said, "I'm sorry for your loss." That sentence broke my entire world. It's been 7 months and my world is still broken. Please spend as much time with her as you can. And try not to worry, just enjoy her. You were a shitty parent. I had to say something similar to one of my parents 6 years ago. It hurts us to say it too. My father is a raging narcissist. He is really old now and doesn't have much time left. Like most narcissists, he needs constant validation. I just know he's going to ask me if he was a good father. He wasn't. He was terrible. You were the best father I ever had. Worst case, you definitely made the top 5. You were the best father I ever had. Worst case, you definitely made the top 5. You're the best father I've ever had, and the worst that I've ever known. It was an offhand comment my mother made while we were arguing about something or other. You're such a burden. Her English isn't great, and it was the first time I'd ever heard her say the word, or even suggest she knew what it meant. We still don't speak much. Edit, made this comment to vent, but it seems it struck a note with a lot of you and confused some of you, so I figured I'd clear the air. My mother was verbally and mentally abusive for my entire young life, and she was a single parent, so I had nowhere else to go. This meant I became a weight on her, but I was made acutely aware of it, frequently. I was a burden though, because I really struggled and fought back and we disagreed on everything, especially things like money and school. I wasted my potential, her words, by not finishing a uni degree and pursuing other prospects, and my life went downhill, but she never bailed me out in a substantial way, no more than small amounts I'd ask to borrow like most 18 and 19-year-olds do. Why this hurt though, was that I had turned my life around. I've had a stable job, I had multiple secondary sources of income coming in, and I was giving her a large sum of money every week to support her and her pursuits, without expecting any return. I was helping out, and returning the favor for her taking care of me as a child, which is something she opted into. I found out why she was a single parent when I was about 15. She got knocked up, my bio dad told her to abort, and she didn't want to, so he left. She put this on me, and it was my fault her life was so hard. It took me a long time to come to grips with this. So when she fired that comment off during a random argument about money or politics or my life or whatever, that's why it killed me. I remember the moment. I was in the hospital, it was my 29th birthday. My girlfriend and I had just been hit by a drunk driver. I was getting glass removed from the laceration in my arm. I was confused, but calm. The surgeon stitched my wounds. My father walked in the room. I had never seen him cry before. He looked at me and broke down. "I'm so sorry, she didn't make it?" Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thanks for all the kind words. The past year has been incredibly difficult. Her presence is sorely missed. I was convinced that she was the one. The person who hit us is in jail for the next 12 years. Please, never ever 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 drink and drive. Get a cab, an Uber, a sober friend. The consequences of drunk driving are deeper than a lost license and a heavy fine. You could ruin lives. You could rip apart families. It isn't worth it. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry, dude. This is the thing I fear the most. I can't imagine losing my boyfriend. Especially now that we've established a mutual desire to spend our lives together, not engaged yet, since I still have some school left. I'm so sorry you had to experience such a loss. I hope you found a path to finding peace and happiness. What is wrong with you? This crushes me every time I remember it. It's what I shouted at my 4-year-old son after some random thing he did, and it's my most shameful memory. He burst into tears, and I worry every day that somehow it's imprinted into his memory and irrevocably altered his personality. I love him too so much, but somehow my brain is just terrible with people, even the people I love the most. I wish I knew what was wrong with me. Being a parent doesn't make you perfect. You're still human. You'll still fuck up. I'm sure your son doesn't dwell on it like you do. Don't be so hard on yourself. I'm sure that after you said it, you felt terrible and gave your boy lots of love and hugs and kisses. That's what he'll remember, that he felt safe and loved. The fact that you can remember the one time you lost it tells me that you are doing a great job of being a parent. Be as kind to yourself as you are to others. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe to this channel for more videos.